Hey y'all, this is exercise 22 and we will be covering rules for double negation, conjunctions, and disjunctions for our truth-free decomposition. So I have already written down number 1, and our set members in this one are P and also not Q and R. Alright, so what we're going to do first is to always write down our set members. So these are our set members here. So my first line will be P, and then my second line will be my next set member, which is not Q and R. Not Q and R. Over here to the side of these, I'm going to write SM, which stands for set member. And each of these are the ones that I'm going to have to decompose if it's not already decomposed there. Now, P is already decomposed as far as it can go, so I don't have to do anything with it. So number 2 is not decomposed, and that's what I'm going to have to decompose. So if we look at our rules over here, it is a conjunction, so we're going to be following our conjunction decomposition rule. And if you notice, it just goes straight down, because anytime it's an and, it's going to go straight down instead of branching off. And how I like to think of it is when it's an or, it's going to branch kind of like an upside down V, which would be the or. So if there's an option, it will branch. And if it's just the and, it's just going to go straight down here. So what we're going to do here for not Q and R is this one here. So what it's going to look like is line 3 will be not Q, and over here to the right, just like I've done in all the other times, I'm gonna say what line I used, which was line 2, and the rule that I used, which was the conjunction decomposition rule. So dot D. Now I'm not done. I've done my not Q, but I still need my R. So my line 4 is gonna be R. And then same thing, what line did I use? I used line 2, conjunction, decomposition rule. All right, so I'm done with this line 2, so I'm going to check it off and show that I'm done so I don't forget anything. So now that I am done, I can look up and see if there's any contradiction there. So I have an R, I'm checking to see if there's not R, okay, and there's not. And I have a not Q. Is there a Q anywhere? No. And a P. So there's no contradiction here. So it's an open branch right there. And what I'm going to say is that it is consistent because there's no contradiction. Consistent. And then I'm going to recover the truth values for each of these variables. Now, one thing to remember is that I'm going to write just the variable. So even if it's a negated variable in our tree, I'm not going to write the negated version. I'm going to just write what it is. Now remember, we're saying all of these are true. So P is true. I'm just going to come down here and write T. Now if not Q is true, that must mean Q is false. And R is what I have here, which would be true. So I'm going to write here. So that's the recovered truth values there. All right, so that one is done. Now let's look over here. Whoop. Every time I move. Okay. All right, now for this set, we have not P, not P, and Q. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to just write out my sets. So my first set is not P, set member. And then my second set member is this one. So anything where the commas are. So the commas are going to obviously separate those. So even if you're getting a really long proposition, just look where the commas are. Set member. Okay. So what I can do here is look. Now, obviously, well, not obviously because I haven't really gone over it yet, but we want to decompose the ones that do not branch first. And this one doesn't have a branching proposition, so we don't have to worry about it here. So we can just start with number 1. But if we did have a rule like this over here, see how some branch and some don't, we would want to check to see which ones do not branch and do those first. We don't have that problem here. So we're just going to start with number 1. Now, number 1 is a not P. So I'm going to do see this double negation here? I'm just going to decompose it like we even did in the other one into just P. I used line 1, the double negation decomposition rule. All right, I'll check it off because I'm done. Now, number 4. My line number 4, I'm going to be decomposing line number 2. So what is this one? We just did this one. And just recall, decomposition of a conjunction, straight down, the p-value and the q-value. My p-value in this one is not P. I used line 2, conjunction decomposition rule. Now what is my q-value? And this one just happens to be Q as well. So I'll write Q. And, oh, I'm sorry, wait. Yeah, no, I'm doing that. Okay, sorry. Okay, line 2, conjunction decomposition rule. Okay, so I've completed that one too, so I'm going to check that one off. Now I can come up here and look. Do I have any contradictions here? So I'm going to look here, and if you notice, you have a P and a not P. So I do have a contradiction here, and my contradiction is found in lines 3, contradicts line 4. And if you remember in our square of opposition, remember how the corners crisscross like that made an X, and that was represented a contradiction. So that's what that X is for there. This one is inconsistent. So I write inconsistent. I don't have to recover any truth values there because it's inconsistent.